A very beautiful morning to you out there. Welcome to another informative episode of Housing Development, a program that answers the questions on real estate, housing construction, mortgage finance, interior decor, and so on. Here we'll bring you up to speed on all the happenings in the housing sector, both on the local and international scene. I am Flora Ani, your housing diva. A lot has happened over the week in the housing sector. Let's see the trending news. I'll be back shortly.
The Director General of Nigeria's official international broadcasting station, Voice of Nigeria, Mr. Osita Okechukwu, has emphasized the need for government involvement in heavily financing Nigeria's housing sector. Okechukwu stated this while featuring as a guest panelist at a webinar recently hosted by the Housing Development Advocacy Network, HDAN, with the theme, Digital Off-Takers Affordability Profiling, Some Recent Experiences. According to him, funding the development of the housing sector cannot be left to the private sector alone, as government needs to be involved in investing on the productive process of the sector. The Von boss, who also stated that government has the capacity for concessionary loans and grants, however expressed displeasure at how the housing sector had suffered setbacks in recent times as a result of neglect, while also calling for urgent intervention in the sector for sustained development. Nigeria's biggest social housing institution, Family Homes Funds, says it is open to working in partnership with various housing sector institutions and stakeholders towards meeting the housing needs of Nigeria. The managing director of the fund, Femi Adewale, represented by the fund's head of strategy and business performance, Dr. Banke Abejinri, made this known during a recent webinar hosted by HDAN. According to her, providing affordable homes for low-income earning Nigerians remains the fund's most prominent priority, and the fund is ready to collaborate with both private and public sector stakeholders towards achieving this goal. She further stated that the fund is set to also influence state governments to step up efforts towards housing low-income earners, civil servants, and internally displaced persons. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, is working on ensuring more transparency and bringing the informal sector into the National Housing Fund, NHF. FMBN's Deputy General Manager and Special Assistant to the Managing Director, Malam Shehu Osidi, revealed this during his presentation as a panelist at HDAN's recent webinar, adding that ensuring accountability and transparency is important in order to win the trust of more subscribers. Osidi further stated that one of the challenges the housing sector has been facing in recent times is the issue of houses built without suitable off-takers, adding that sector stakeholders should be wary of funding projects without prospective off-takers.
I am Dr. Sam Ewu, Senate Committee Chairman on Housing. Keep watching Housing Development Program.
Welcome back. For more housing news stories, visit www.africanhousingnews.com. It's quite obvious that the absence of real-time tested and verifiable housing data bank system is one of the major challenges of real estate practice in Nigeria. It's quite different in developed economies where data is available, collected and usable by practitioners and investors for valuation and other real estate purposes. Still talking about housing data and housing shortfall in the midst of vacant houses in Nigeria, these everyday Nigerians have this to say.
Unfortunate because there are so many homeless people in Abuja. The house rent is something else. Very, very expensive, the most expensive in Nigeria. And there are so many uncompleted, unoccupied buildings in Abuja. So I think that the government should give it out to anybody that can pay or renovate it and stay for some time before the owners will come around. Or I just think the government should take control of the house and give it out to people that can, because it's just wasting. If you see some building, very fine, very quality building, and nobody is staying inside, almost completed, the government should do something about it.
The truth is that we already know that most of these houses are being owned by the rich men in Nigeria, and most of them are lawmakers. But if honestly they can help us pass this bill, it will also help Nigerians as well, because everybody is looking at them to pass the bill. And like they say, charity begins at home. If they can bring down the prices or pass a bill that they should be taxed, and everybody agrees to it, I believe that the the price of rent in Abuja, especially in Abuja, will drop.
Those unoccupied buildings in Abuja should be taken over by government, because most of these people that have those houses, they have hundreds of it and they are not using it, and they spend billions to repaint it every year, while most Nigerians are sleeping outside. And it's the same amount of money that they looted from office that they use in building those houses. That is why they don't care. So if government can help us to confiscate those houses and share it to the people that don't have house, it will solve this hardship of accommodation in FCT.
If you build a house and it exceeds like a year, it has not been sold or given out, the government should revoke them. It should be revoked and given back to the government. Or the owner should slash the prices, rent them out. Maybe as time goes on, you can start hiking them while people are in them.
My name is Andrew Chimponda, the Group Chief Executive and Managing Director of Shelter Afrique. I strongly endorse the housing program and housing show, and I think you should keep watching it. Thank you.
All right, you've heard the responses of people on vacant houses and what should be done to such. Housing is a basic human need, as we always say. No one should lack it. Now, here is a throwback interview with the UN Special Rapporteur on the right to housing, Laila Nefaha, on her assessment of Nigerians' housing needs. Take a look.
Nigeria is facing a lot of challenges, I'll be honest. I've had the opportunity to visit Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. And I've been to informal settlements in particular, where the bulk of the population of the country actually lives. So here you reference them as slums. In the international world, we call them informal settlements. And I have to admit, I've been quite concerned, deeply concerned, I'd say, by the conditions that I've seen in some of those informal settlements. People living without access to the basics. And we all know what we need for a life of dignity, which is what the right to adequate housing really means. It's the right to live somewhere in dignity and with security. And my experience in the informal settlements that I visited is that people are not actually experiencing those things. I think there could be some support given to people living in informal settlements to improve their own housing. rather than, I know that governments tend to want to do these sort of mass housing building projects, and that might be a kind of medium-term solution, but it seems that those communities, at least the informal settlements that I visited, are pretty intact communities. I mean, they're running, they're existing. Some of them had a real vibrancy. And I don't see a reason why their title couldn't be regularized and why they couldn't be offered modest support in the form of loans or grants to improve their conditions. I don't see why the government couldn't invest in basic infrastructure for those communities. I think governments could come in and help pave roads and, you know, ensure that people have access to some basic services. You know, I think that's possible. The reason I suggest that is because I worry about these large-scale building projects that are costly, they take time. A human rights approach really focuses on people, and I think there's a lot of human capital here. I think people are ingenious. I think they have creativity and kind of modest demands and expectations. So that's the direction I'm leaning in, but I haven't, as I said, finalized my recommendations for this mission. I'm Leilani Farha, the UN Special Rapporteur, and I hope you'll keep watching the Housing Development Program.
You're watching Housing Development. One event that will shape the housing sector this year, despite the COVID-19 pandemic, is the prestigious Abuja International Housing Show, as this year will mark a digital AIHS 2020, the first of its kind in Nigeria. Now take a listen to this report for more details.
Looking around the Nigerian society, it's easy to spot many developers, constructors, amongst others, who seem to be having a difficult time finding their feet in the housing industry, while some others apparently have valiantly stood and seem to be moving at a fast pace. One may be forced to ask the reason for this gap. The answer is not far-fetched. The difference is the right network, the right knowledge, right conferences, amongst others. An event like the Abuja International Housing Show, AIHS, is designed to create a platform for both the striving and established real estate and construction practitioners. Following the current global scourge of the coronavirus pandemic, which has made physical distancing inevitable and calls for new strategies and innovations that will meet the expectations and needs of our numerous clients, the organizers of Africa's largest housing and construction event, Abuja International Housing Show, have emerged with a virtual edition of the show. Digital AIHS 2020 is scheduled to be a 4-day event which will hold from 21st to 24th of July 2020, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily Nigerian time. The event is designed to be accessible to all participants globally via internet-connected devices such as computers, laptops, tablets, or mobile phones. This event will also be available on demand for a further 30 days after the first 5 live days. AIHS partners in not less than 15 countries will also be among participants and exhibitors. Digital AIHS 2020 will feature exhibitions held in a custom virtual environment where exhibitors will be allotted custom-built virtual booths. Attendees will also be able to engage in meaningful conversations with exhibitors using text, audio, and video chat in a 1:1 or group setting. The event will equally feature a selection of webinars delivered by leading industry experts, some of whom will field questions from the audience via Q&A sessions. The theme for this year's event is Housing Finance Innovations for 2020 and Beyond, Sustainable System for Cities. And sessions will cover a wide range of topics spanning the entire property value chain from land acquisition to building quality. The AIHS, as usual, would be parading the highest number of professionals and government functionaries, including senators, ministers, governors, members of the House of Assembly, amongst others, and with an assortment of VIP speakers, among whom are Robert D. Brooksmith, President, Mortgage Bankers Association of America; Ian Shapiro, CEO, Real UK; Nusa Bukareb, Moroccan Minister for Housing and Urban Development; Andrew Chimponda, Shelter Afrique, Kenya, and lots more. It's indeed expected to be the game changer for every participant. Why a virtual AIHS event? Safest platform for linking participants from all over the world without exposing people to the risk of the coronavirus pandemic. Wider audience reach, including attendees from around the globe, given even the smallest exhibitor the potential of accessing huge new markets. Massive cost savings for exhibitors and attendees alike. No flight, hotel, entertaining or printed brochure expenses. Cost per lead is significantly lower than a conventional event. No financial or geographical barriers to visitor attendance. Significantly higher attendance than conventional events. Attend at your convenience with regular live presentations with a unique range of speakers and on-demand presentations. Immediate and controlled communication with your audience. More efficient use of time for partners, attendees, and sponsors. AIHS is the largest housing and construction conference and exhibition in Africa. The show, which is built to hold from the 21st to the 24th of July, is open for registration to participants world over. Participants are kindly urged to visit www.ihsabuja.com.
I'm Debbie Erb. I work for OPIC in the United States, and keep watching the Affordable Housing Development Program.
The benefits of participating in the virtual Abuja International Housing Show 2020 are too numerous to mention. Just visit www.ihsabuja for more details and registration, or call 081-665-70090. Now moving on, the Housing Development Advocacy Network had a webinar on digital off-takers affordability profiling with some seasoned housing experts. Take a look.
1 monstrous challenge that has continued to impede home ownership in Nigeria is the issue of affordability, as many low-income earning Nigerians barely have the financial capacity to solely sponsor the home building process or even service a mortgage if granted one. Even more, it is quite a cumbersome process to properly profile and get the necessary details of home buyers in order to tailor housing delivery to their needs. In a bid to work out viable solution to this challenge, the Housing Development Advocacy Network, HDAN, recently brought together concerned stakeholders on a webinar platform to deliberate on the theme, Digital Off-Taker Affordability Profiling. Speaking to issues during the webinar, HDAN Director Barrister Festus Adebayo and the Director General of Voice of Nigeria, Osita Ikechukwu, highlighted the importance of housing as both a basic need and a societal regulation tool, just as CBN's National Real Estate Data Collation and Management Program expert, Dr. Mike Mba, explained the recent activities of the Data Collation and Management Program in aggregating housing data in the country.
Housing is important for health. It's important for employment. It's important for productivity. It's important for economic development. And more.
There must be, from the data repository people are building, a way to get the market trader, the smallest of them all, that you can have your own house. The truck pusher, that you can have your own house. It cannot be the same, and it might not be located at the center of the city. It might be neighborhood approach. The neighborhood approach in terms of the fact that there will be little markets, there will also be dispensary, there will also be school. But it must be aggregated for the objective it will achieve. 1, employment. 1, poverty alleviation. Secondly, and most importantly, that there's a reposition of the people's mind that the government works.
The objective of the NRDCMP was to create a data repository for the sector, for the housing sector. We found that what has been operating is all about silos, silo approach to both the administrative data, silo approach to business data, silo approach in everything, household data, off-takers. So the intention is that whatever we will do will be to make it available for the industry.
The Managing Director of Family Homes Funds, Mr. Femi Adewale, represented by the fund's Head of Strategy and Performance, Dr. Banke Abejiri, noted that the fund has made conscious efforts to work with off-takers in carrying out its project, while the Head Business Operations and ICT with the Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company, Engineer Taufik Olatinwo, emphasized the need for partnership and collaboration for operational excellence within the housing value chain.
It's not enough for the homes to be built, but it's definitely imperative for people to be able to afford those homes. And at the onset, what we then do is, what we have begun to do is to ask for the profiles of target beneficiaries. So not only do the states bring forward their proposals for their drawings, but we're also asking that who are your off-takers going to be? What are their income levels? Will they be able to afford the homes that you are going to build? Because we do not want them to end up with white elephant projects.
Standards is very, very important. Without having standards, we're just going to be beaten about the bush. But now bringing the standards and coming together all the stakeholders is really helping for us to move forward. So we're going to see more in terms of being able to do this definition, being able to help our people to build the right homes for the right people at the right time, at the right cost.
On their part, the Deputy General Manager and Special Assistant to the Managing Director of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Malam Shehu Osidi, explained that the bank has been working on modalities to promote housing affordability in Nigeria, just as the Managing Director of Value Chain Projects Consultancy, Dr. Joshua Egbagbe, reiterated the need to digitize all processes and activities within the housing industry.
Prior to this time, we had a graduated equity regime where if you are taking a loan of 5 million and below, you contribute an equity of 10%. Between 5 million and 10 million, you contribute an equity of 20%. And then between 10 million and 15 million, you contribute 30%. But what we did in order to address this concern was to make it flat. If you are taking a loan of between 5 to 15 million, you pay a flat equity contribution of 10%, while loans of 5 million and below attract zero equity. This has helped to enhance affordability to a large extent.
Digital revolution, off-takers affordability profiling, a digital revolution. Now we conduct housing delivery in Nigeria, a digital revolution. How we originate mortgages, a digital revolution, on how we interact with each other. That is the way forward.
With the availability of the right data, the decision-making process within the housing value chain would be accelerated, especially in the area of off-takers affordability profiling and well-planned housing delivery. Housing Development Advocacy Network. We are the leading events and webinar platform in African real estate, a platform to connect with stakeholders in the housing industry across the globe. Our platform has over 1,000 live viewers per webinar, over 20 African and international countries. We engage a heterogeneous audience composed of decision makers, With over 120 minutes per webinar, you can reach over 40,000 global and Pan-African audience. Join Nigeria's leading brands, sponsor a webinar episode or series, or host your own webinar through our platform and speak to your own audience. Through our platform, you can reach a new audience composed of real estate developers and investors, property owners and facility managers, banks and financial institutions, construction and civil engineering firms, managing directors and chief executive officers of companies, wholesalers, retailers, property agencies, and even more. For inquiries, call the numbers displayed on your screen. The Housing Development Advocacy Network webinar platform is proudly sponsored by
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts on Facebook, Housing Development Program, on Twitter, Housing Program, on Instagram at Housing Program. Join the conversation and keep up with latest housing updates.
That is it on today's episode of the program. If you miss any part, you can catch up on our YouTube channel, Housing TV Africa. And please click on the subscribe button. Also, do connect with us on Facebook, the Housing Development Program, and on Twitter, via Housing Program. Like and interact on our posts. Join the conversation. I'll be back here same time next week. Do have a great day ahead. Remember, social distancing and washing of your hands regularly is very important at this time. Do stay safe. I remain Flora Ani, your housing diva.